Hello there, and in today's video we're going to be learning how to upload your book to Amazon's KDP platform. My name's Stuart White, I'm the founder of Write Mentor and a self-published author, and I'm going to be talking you through the steps that you have to take to upload your novel to make it available on Amazon for people to purchase. So I'm going to talk you through all the various stages involved by showing you a demonstration of my own upload of my book to Amazon, and hopefully you'll be able to follow the same steps and upload your own book to Amazon KDP both in ebook and in paperback format. So let's have a look at the platform now. Okay, so when you go into KDP, the first thing that you're going to have to do is you're going to have to create an Amazon account. Okay, and I'm not going to cover that in this video. That's something you'll just have to manage to do yourself. Now, when you do that, you'll be able to sign in. Now, I'm obviously already signed in as myself, so I can just click here and it'll take me to the main dashboard. Now, you can see that there's lots of different things here. There's the account, which you'll need to fill in with things like your tax details, your payment details, and other such things. You've got your bookshelf, which we're going to talk about today in today's video. You've got your reports, which are good for after your book's published, and you can keep up to date with your sales and your page reads and other statistics that are on there. We've got the community and we've got marketing as well. If you're interested in both of those, the community is quite good for interacting with people and asking questions and so on. And they've got KDP Amazon people who will go in there and answer those questions. And marketing obviously is for when you want to do Amazon ads, which is not going to be covered in this video, but maybe in a future video. So we're going to talk about how to upload your book, both in ebook and paperback format. Now, the first thing you're going to have to do is you're going to have to get to this screen once you've signed in and you've done all your account details and so on. And you can do one of two things. You can either click this big yellow create button, or you can go to the create a book option that's just listed here. Amazon also provides you with some useful information such as the book timelines, free ISBNs, and how to use their own ISBNs if you don't want to buy your own. And I will talk to you a little bit about this later on, but I would suggest you do buy your own, especially if you're going wider than just Amazon. And some tools and resources which basically have all the information that you're going to require if you have any problems that come up during this process. Now, I'm going to talk you through the basics of it, but there might be more intricate or nuanced things that you have to look up in the tools and resources, and this is the place that you would click on if you want to do that. So if we wanted to start a new book, we would click and create, and it would come up with the screen that would enable you to input all of your details, your title, your ISBN, and other things that you need for your book. Now, we're actually going to use the one that I've already done just for simplicity. So we're going to click on first of all, my ebook for Ghosts of Mars, which is my recently published middle grade sci-fi. And when we click on that, it'll take us into a lookalike of what you will see, only the details for yours will obviously be blank. Mine's are already completed. So the first thing we come across is language. Is your book written in English or is it written in a different language? Okay, there's a little bit here. If you click on it, it tells you a little bit about all the languages that are supported in Kindle, but you want your ebooks primary language to be the one that you want your readers to read in. Okay, and for me, that's English. For you, it might be a different one. The second part is the book title, and again, fairly obvious, but your title should obviously be as it appears on the book cover, because it would be misleading if it was anything different. The key thing about this, though, is whatever you input in the first round, you have to keep that title. You cannot change it at a later date. So just be absolutely certain that's going to be your final title, and probably have your book cover already started or finished by the time you actually come round to uploading this. And we'll talk about why having that available at the time of uploading is useful, not just from the point of view of knowing your final title, but in terms of one of the steps that's to come in a little while. A subtitle, which is optional, you can put into this box here. Now, the subtitle can be, as I've put it, just something related to the story. It's the first in the series of The Adventures of Eva Knight. So the book title is Ghosts of Mars because this is the individual book title. The next one in the series will be called something different, but still have the same subtitle. And what that does is it gives the readers a sort of familiar feel to which series or world or characters your subsequent books are going to involve. And so that's why I've chosen to do that. However, some people choose to put other things in the subtitle part, such as the TikTok sensation of 2022, or for lovers of Adam Silvera's They Both Die at the End, or whatever it happens to be. You can actually use it to that effect as well. Now, I've not tried that myself, and I believe that sometimes people get asked to change things that they put in the subtitle as well. So just bear that in mind. But I have seen subtitles of that type in other listings on Amazon. So it's something that you can explore yourself when you come round to uploading that. But yeah, hopefully the book title part won't be too challenging for you. You're at a stage where you know what that's going to be. Now, if your book is part of a series, you can add this to a series. You can create the series page and add all the individual titles to that. It means that any books that you subsequently publish in the series will all be linked together, and I believe you can make box sets and so on to do special offers if people want to buy like 4 of your books in the same series rather than buying them individually and such things. But I have not yet got a series, so I am leaving that bit for now. But you can obviously explore that if you are writing in a series and you are maybe publishing the second, third, fourth book. But I would imagine if you're at that stage, you don't need this talk through tutorial. The next bit's your edition number, and again, I left that blank because it's my first edition and it's the first time I've uploaded the book. However, I do believe that when you make significant changes to the same book and you re-upload it, it would count as a new edition, and you can call that, edition number 2 or 3 or however many you happen to upload. And it gives you a nice little helpful menu here where you can read a bit more information about what counts as a new edition. I think if my memory serves me well, it's about 20% of content changing for it to be a new edition, but you don't quote me on that. You'll need to click on there to read more about it, but that's not the purpose of this tutorial. The next bit's the author part. Now, obviously, that will be your name. However, you are allowed to use pen names, and if you decide not to use your legal name, you'll obviously have to look into the legal ramifications of having a pen name on your book page, because when it comes to things like royalties and so on being paid to you, you just have to make sure that you have that legal pen name identity all mapped out. And I would obviously speak to someone who knows more about those particular nuances than me, but that's where you put in your name, whatever is going to appear on the front cover and is going to be your author name. Now, for me, I've just chosen my legal name because that's just the easiest way for me to go about it. But for various reasons, if you're writing, I don't know, spicy romance or something that's in a totally different age category or genre from other things you're writing, and you want to use a pen name, then that's obviously something you'll need to consider. But if you, again, it gives you a really helpful little link there to reading more a little bit about authorship of the book, and you can find out more about pen names and such things there. Contributors, that's as the name would suggest, where you put in the people who have contributed towards your book. Again, it's optional, so you can just have your own name on it. I've chosen to put my cover illustrator on there because I believe that the work that she's done is remarkable enough to be listed on the cover of the book, but also in the Amazon page. So I've done that. But you can add other people as well. You can add co-authors, you can add editors, forward, illustrators, introduction narrator, and so on. You can see the full list there if there's anyone else that you feel like you have to add to your contributors list for your book. Next up, we have the description, and this is one of the most important parts of the upload process. So I would take some time when you're doing this to make sure that you've fully considered everything you're going to put on here, because it's one of the big factors that will help people decide if they're going to buy your book. Now, again, Amazon's very helpfully has got a how do I format my description bit here, and I'd have a quick look at that before you did it, just to make sure it's all okay. In my experience, pretty much everything I've put in there has been absolutely fine format-wise, but you might be wanting to put something special in there, and which isn't regular text or whatever, and so you just need to check how that's going to appear on the final page before you do that. Now, I've put in a couple of quotes that I got from authors in the book. I put in a little bit about the book there. I've done a little first person blurb, and a little bit about the background to the book, and obviously that I'm putting a percentage of any profits to one of my chosen charities, Diabetes UK, which is obviously a charity that's close to my heart, being a diabetic myself. So yeah, the description's where you put in any relevant information like that, and it's where you're really wanting to sell your book to people that would potentially come across it on Amazon. So a good bit of thought really should go into your description and make sure that it's as good as it can be. I'd maybe ask a few friends, writer friends, or whoever you've got that is good at these kind of things to have a look over it before you decide to pop that in there. But it's an important part, so don't rush that bit. Take your time with it. Moving on, we've got the publishing rights. Now, I obviously wrote this book. It's original. It's my own work. It's not copying anything else. So I obviously clicked I own the copyright and hold the rights because I'm a self-published author. But if you're in a different situation, like the public domain work here, or maybe you don't necessarily hold the rights for whatever reason, you maybe were with a small press who went bust, and you haven't got a rights reversion or whatever, just check all the legal ramifications before you tick one of those two boxes, okay? Consult someone who knows more about that particular thing. The next part is also a very important part that should require a little bit of thought, and that's your keywords. So the 7 keywords that you're going to use to describe your book are keywords that people will be searching for when they're looking for books that are similar to yours. Now, Amazon helpfully gives you a little guide there about how do you choose your keywords. There's also loads of things online that you can go and read about that help you with that as well. I've chosen 7 keywords which I think represent the book best, and that I think if someone was typing into Amazon to search for a book, that they would best represent the book that I've written. And I've actually broken a couple of the recommendations that Amazon give you here for keywords, which is like not using words that are in your title and so on. I've consciously chosen just to ignore that because I'm experimenting to see if the visibility of the book is changed by having them and not. And so I will be changing those keywords from time to time, but it's important that you choose ones that you think will lead to people searching for your book and finding it. And these are important, I believe, in terms of your book's visibility on the Amazon marketplace, because it's a very competitive marketplace with lots and lots of books on there. So making sure that you get the right ones is probably important, and also making sure that you choose ones which are not going to be misleading, because you want people to land on your page who actually want to read the kind of book that you have written. The next thing is the categories. So it says here you can choose up to 2 categories. Categories are important, and it goes on to tell you a little bit about it here from Amazon, but it's a way of your users finding you when they're doing the little left-hand side search for particular types of books. And so the categories that you choose will be where your book's going to be listed when people are searching for it. So it's important to try and get those as close as you can to what your book is actually about. Now, a little known secret, or maybe a well-known secret amongst self-publishers, is that once you choose your 2 categories from here and you upload your book, you can email Amazon KDP help desk through the email that's provided. If you go onto the help and resources, the tools and resources part of the website, you can find an email there and you can get in touch with them, and you can request an additional 8 categories, and that's for both the ebook and the paperback version. And you actually have to do them separately in the email. So you list your ebook ASIN number, we'll talk about that in a minute, and the title and so on, and then you'd list the 8 categories that you'd like, and then you do the paperback with the ISBN, and then the 8 categories you'd like for that as well. So you can email them to ask for those extra categories, and those are useful again in terms of cataloguing your book in the right place for it to be found on the website. The next section is on age and grade range. Now, age range is fairly simple regardless of where you are, because obviously kids' ages don't change depending on the country you're in. So I've gone obviously 9 to 12, and that'll be correct universally. However, there's also an optional US grade range there too, and it might be worthwhile just doing a quick Google search to see which age corresponds to which US grade range, so that you get that particular part right. I've not put anything in there at the moment, but I probably should fill that in, just to give a wee bit of extra metadata for my book so that it can be more easily found, particularly for consumers in the US. Okay, and you can see here just at the bottom, there's the pre-order option. Now, obviously, my book was released already on Monday the 13th of February, so there's no option there, but the option on the blank template gives you an option to either release now, like i.e. you intend to release it immediately, or that you can set a pre-order date. Now, the one thing I'd say about pre-orders, if you are planning to do that, is that you make sure you set the date well enough in advance that you're very comfortable with your timeline and you're not feeling rushed. And to bear in mind that you can actually change your pre-order, your publication date and your pre-order period later on, but you can only change it over, I think it's 9 days out from the actual publication date, and you can only change it up to a month later than you originally said. So if you feel that the delay is going to be more than a month or that you're not quite ready, then that can obviously be problematic. I believe you get a little strike against your name if you don't have the manuscript uploaded by the date before the publication date, and you can then get banned from doing pre-orders for a year, I think it is, or 2 years perhaps, after that. So anyway, the point being that only do the pre-order if you're certain that you're going to be ready by a particular date. And if you're just wanting to release it straight away, then obviously you can choose that option, and that would appear here. So once we've done all that, we're ready to go on to the next stage. So we just click Save and Continue, and it'll take us on to the next page. Now, the next page is all about our content, what actually is going to be in our ebook. So you can see here, it gives you some guidance on the format that the ebook should be in. So make sure that you comply with that. There's a few ways to do that. You can ask a formatter to do it for you professionally. You can try and do it yourself by learning online, which a few of my friends have done. And I think for them, it's been quite a long and frustrating process. Or you can use some formatting software, and I use Vellum, which is Mac only at the moment, I believe, and it's great. It's brilliant software. Basically, when you're ready to release your book, then you can click generate on it, and it produces every single format that you require of that particular ebook with one click. It really is very easy and intuitive and very good to use. So I'm a big advocate of the Vellum software, but obviously it costs money, so it's something that you have to weigh up. I think if you're looking at a long-term career of self-publishing, then it's probably worth that investment. If you're just looking to release one book, it may well not be, but that's something for you personally to decide. But anyway, you're going to need a variety of formats for the various platforms. On ebook for KDP, it gives you a little list here of the different formats that you require, and you can obviously just make sure it's in that format. Now, there's a little button here to upload your ebook manuscript, so you would click that, and then you would select your manuscript from your documents within your computer. Now, you can see I've already uploaded my EPUB document, and it says it was successfully uploaded. When you click on that to upload it, it'll go through a file processing stage, and that'll take a few minutes for it to do that. It'll then do a manuscript check, and again, a few minutes to do that. And while it's doing all that, it's just checking it's all compatible and so on. And then it finally does a spell check, which is quite useful too. There was a couple of errors in my initial one that it pulled up, and it allowed me to then go back and then change those. And the Vellum software then submit a new EPUB formatted manuscript onto here. So it's quite a useful little process. It does a little bit of checking for you as well, which is good. But you can see obviously now that this is a uploaded and now released book that there's no spelling errors, which is which is good, and so therefore that bit is ready. So that's how you would upload your manuscript there. Next part is the cover. Again, I would suggest getting someone else to do your cover unless you're a professional cover designer or illustrator. I paid for someone to do mine. I think it looks really good as a result. And when you're asking for them to do that, you would ask for them to give you in the JPEG or TIFF only format, because that's all the ebooks on Amazon will accept. So you have to make sure it's one of those two formats again. If you are not going to ask a cover illustrator or designer to produce your cover, there's another option here, which is to use the cover creator. Okay, and that's the Amazon's own thing. You can create a cover from like stock images and put your own text and stuff on it. It's not for me. It's not a route I would go down, but it's perhaps something that you might want to have a look at to see if it would work for you. Okay, but that is an option for the cover creator. I would say as well about the cover, if you're thinking about getting someone else to do it, then you can use one of the sort of guides before you get to this stage where you can look at like template sizes and so on to work out how big the cover needs to be, obviously, for the PDF the JPEG that your illustrator or cover designer is going to send to you. Now, the good thing as well is when you get to this stage, you can do a little previewer, which is handy. And I would always make sure you check that. So when you click on the previewer, it will show you your cover and your pages in ebook format. Okay, and you can quite nicely click through that, and you can see how your book would appear when it eventually is released to people's Kindles or whatever device they are reading your book on. And it's quite nice that just to be able to check how it would look, to see if there's any glaring errors in the document that was sent, to see if there's anything you have to change. And what I would suggest doing as well is when you get to this stage, actually just going through the whole manuscript and just checking everything looks okay, because I'm sure there can be issues between transferring it from your software or your professional formatter onto KDP. So go through all that and just check it and make sure everything looks okay. But I've obviously already done that, so we won't spend time going through the whole of the manuscript. And then once you've done that and you're very happy with the content, it's time to input your ISBN. Now, the ISBN is optional on ebook. You can not put that in, and Amazon will assign you, and they do this anyway, actually, an ASIN number, and that number will be the unique identifier for your ebook on Amazon. Now, the reason I put an ISBN on there is because ISBNs are obviously transferable across other distribution places online, and it's useful just to keep them all under one number, I think, rather than having a unique Amazon one that the AISN is. So that's why I've put a ISBN in for this particular ebook. But again, that's optional. You don't have to spend the money on an ISBN. You can just use the free one that Amazon give you if you like. Below that, there's the option to put in a publisher. So again, I do all my self-publishing books through my made Pinobi Press. It's just a company that I've made, a limited company, so that I can manage all the financials of self-publishing in that regard. Like a lot of people in the US, they'll use like an LLC, I think it's called, and throughout the world there'll be different names for it. But making a wee company, a little press for your books is not a bad idea, I think, in the long run, if you're planning to do this as a business going forward. It's optional, so you don't have to put anything in there. And similarly, you don't have to make up a business to put in a name there. You can put in any old thing. You can make up a press name, and a few of my friends have actually done that have uploaded books and made quite cool press names. And it will be listed on Amazon. And to be honest, the majority of people buying your books will not know any different whether it's a big press, a small press, or no press at all. So you can put in the publisher name there as is suitable for you, or not, obviously, because it's optional. So that brings us on to the last screen for the ebook upload, and that is the pricing screen. Now, the pricing screen is obviously where the money is, isn't it? And this will be what interests a lot of you. So first of all, with the ebook, you've got to decide if you're going to go ebook exclusive to Amazon or whether you're going to go wide with it. And if you decide to just go exclusive to Amazon, you can enroll it in the KDP Select program, which is a page read. You get paid per page read program, and it allows those who are subscribed to it to read your book for free, essentially. But as I say, you do get paid per page that they read. So that's something that you'll need to consider yourself, and whether you want your books to be available more widely in all the other ebook platforms or just exclusive to Amazon. And you can enroll it there. And you can see I've enrolled mine just because I've only got it on Amazon, the ebook. So that means I'm eligible for it. And my experience so far is that quite a few people are reading it via that, and I'm earning some money that way. So it's been worthwhile for me. But it's a personal choice for you, depending on whether you want to go exclusive with Amazon or wide. The next section is on territories. And again, I've just gone for all territories. I want it to be available on all the Amazon marketplaces throughout the world. It's up to you, obviously, if you want to just have it in individual territories. For example, you might have sold rights to particular places for someone else to distribute your book, in which case you'd want to select individual territories. But again, I think for the majority of people with their first book, where they haven't sold it anywhere else, you'd be clicking all territories there. Your primary marketplace will probably be the place where you are located, and therefore where the majority of your book sales will be. I know that's not always the case for some people, but wherever you think you'll sell the most books, wherever the majority of your audience are, that should probably be the one that you choose for your primary marketplace. And I'm based in Scotland, so I've gone with amazon.co.uk. But you can see from the list that there's a whole range of different ones that you can choose from there. Okay, and what that does then is that puts your primary marketplace at the top of the pricing, royalty, and distribution list, which is following here. So you must then select a price. Well, first of all, actually select a royalty plan. Now, I've gone obviously for the 70% plan. When you go for that, it means you can't be enrolled in, we'll talk about this in a second, but the other distribution plan that Amazon have, but we'll talk a bit more about that in a second when I click that one. But we'll stick with 70% for the moment because that's the one that is on at the moment. And that 70% royalty rate is obviously a good rate, isn't it, on the ebook? So if you go with that, you can see that having it exclusive to Amazon means that on a $2.99 book, ebook, I will get £2.06 royalty. So that's very good, I think. And you can see across all the different marketplaces the various returns that you get. Okay, and you can see they're all actually reasonably good for the price of the particular ebook. And that's one of the advantages of going exclusive to Amazon rather than going a bit wider with your distribution. If you were to go a bit wider with your distribution beyond Amazon, you'd be on the 35% plan, and therefore you can see that has an effect on your royalties. So if you go with 35%, obviously your royalties are basically halved on what they do if you go 70. So it really is up to you what you need to decide what's going to be best for you and your book and your royalties. But as I say, I keep on the 70% one there. I keep my book just on Amazon as well, and therefore it's available on all the marketplaces there that are associated with Amazon, and I can sell it worldwide. Now, once you've done that, you get to the bottom here and it will give you the option to save as a draft or publish your Kindle ebook. Now, I would suggest, if this is the first time you've gone through all that you click save as draft, and you maybe just leave and close the browser down for the night and leave it a day or two, and go back later on and just check through everything that you've done just to make sure you're happy with everything, you haven't made any mistakes and so on. Because once you obviously click publish, then you'd have to go in and alter an already listed book. Now, if you go in for a pre-order, obviously you've got a bit more time, and if you actually do a pre-order, you don't have to upload the manuscript at the time that you click on the publish, and that might be something you want to do if you want to live your life on the edge and upload it a bit later on. But yes, you don't have to upload it at the time if you do a pre-order, but if you're publishing it immediately, then obviously you do have to upload the ebook manuscript at the time. Okay, and you would click publish your ebook, and it would go through all the details and make sure it's saved and all sent up and so on. And you can see your ebook's been submitted. And again, it gives you the message here. It can take up to 72 hours for your title to be available for purchase on Amazon. My experience is that it's not usually as long as that. On the first one, it was a day or two. But every subsequent change I've made to my listing since then, and I've resubmitted it to be available on Amazon, it's taken far less time. So that's just obviously give yourself the 72 hours in case, but generally speaking, it happens well within that window. So that's the end of the ebook upload on Kindle Direct Publishing. We're going to have a quick look now at the paperback one. Now, if I had just listed this as a new book, as a new ebook, there'd be an option down here. Instead of all this information, there'd be an option down here to add a linked paperback, okay? And one that would be linked obviously to the ebook, and that's important because you want them in the same listing on the Amazon page. So you would click around a bit here, and it would then, once you've done that, take you into this screen here. Now, this screen is very familiar, I'm sure, to you based upon what we looked at a minute ago with the ebook, and you can see language, the book title, the subtitle, and you can see the message I'm getting because my book is now out, that it cannot be edited after your book's been published, okay? And that's why it's important to get those right the first time that you put them in. Okay, and I'm not going to go over the things that I've gone over with the ebook, but you can see again, very familiar headings and things that you have to fill in. Now, the good news is that if you've done the ebook first, then a lot of this stuff will be pre-filled in based upon your ebook information. And that's really handy. I think it saves you having to go through and do all the same things again and again. And you can see all of the exact same things that we saw with the ebook. Now, the bottom here is the first bit where we see something different just under categories there. Now, if you have written a book that is different in terms of its content, it might be like a blank diary type book or a planner or a notebook, then you would have to click this box here. Okay. And again, it's saying there after I've published, I can't change that. So that's something you need to do before publication. Okay. And it also gives you a nice little description here of what it means by a low content book in case you're not 100% sure. Similarly, if you do a large print book, and that's where the font size is 16 point or greater, you can again click this box here to make sure that it's printed in that way, and you can see again what their definition of a large print book is. So that's a couple of little differences from the ebook as well. And then finally, they've got this box at the bottom for, does the book contain language, situations, or images that are inappropriate for children under 18 years? And again, you would obviously tick yes or no for that. And if it does have things that are unsuitable for children, they would obviously not push that out to child readers on the platform. So very similar to the ebook, and as I say, you shouldn't have to fill out too much of this because you'll have done it the first time round, and that saves you a wee bit of time, which is handy, isn't it? The next bit is the print ISBN. Now, we didn't have to worry too much about this for the ebook, but you need to have an ISBN for the paperback. Now, you can again get a free KDP ISBN, but that is exclusive to KDP. So if you want to put your book wide across different platforms, if you want to get it in bookstores, etc., then you will probably want to be buying an ISBN and then using that both on here on Amazon KDP as well as on your other distributors that will help you distribute more widely. And you can see again, I put in my ISBN, I put my imprint name in there as well. And that way it identifies my book so that when it's sold here or it's sold in a bookshop or it's sold via Ingram Spark and some other destination, then they all will be collected together as sales under the same number and identifier, which is useful. We've got a publication date, again, optional, so you don't have to put that in actually when you're doing the paperback. Now, because they don't do pre-orders in paperback on KDP, that is why it's an option. They would just set the publication date as the day that you click publication or publish on your book, and therefore there's no real need to fill that in unless for whatever reason you maybe wanted to press it and then, I don't know, change it or whatever. You want it to be different to the day you press publish. Whatever reason you might have for that, I don't know, but yeah, anyway, you can obviously make that decision yourself. And again, it gives you a wee bit of a description there on the link if you just hover your mouse over it. Okay, the print options, this is maybe one of the trickier bits that needs a wee bit more explanation. So the print options, what you choose here will determine the overall cost of your book to be printed on demand. And so making choices here come with obviously financial consequences. So it's important that you think about this and you choose the option that you think is going to be best for you, both in terms of the look of the book, but also financial viability of it as well. Now, I've chosen for the black and white interior because I have no images inside. It's all just text. And I've gone with the cream paper because I just quite like the cream one in terms of, you know, when you get an old book, cream, I guess it ages maybe a wee bit less than white does. It less likely to get stained and such things. So I quite like the cream feel of the inside of a paperback book, but it's completely up to you. You can go with the white one if you prefer. If you've got colour in your interior, then you'd want to choose one of these bottom two options here. And again, they come with different financial implications and different quality and different tones and colourings. And, you know, because the thing with print and demand as well is there's going to be variance in terms of how good the published product is at the end. So that's something that, again, you'd want to look into more if you have a colour interior. Okay, and then the next part is the size of your book. Now, I've chosen the 5.06 by 7.81 inches, and you can see the centimetre dimensions just below that as well. I've gone with that because I held a friend's book that she'd self-published, and I quite liked the size and the feel of it and so on. So I went with the same trim size that she did. But you can go through a whole bunch of different sizes here. There's loads of options. But again, knowing that obviously generally the bigger the book, the more it will cost to print it. So that's something to bear in mind as well. The trim size will be something you'll need to share with your cover designer or illustrator. And what I would say is that there's a template that KDP have where you can input all of the various details of your book, and it basically gives you a PDF of different sizes that you'll need to pass on to your designer or illustrator, and then they can make the adjustments when they do your cover for you. Okay, and again, you cannot change your trim size once your book's been published, so make sure that you're settled on that before you hit publish. Bleed settings, that's again if you got a bleed on the cover of your book, but or even the interiors, and that's obviously something that's going to be dependent on your book. But I've just went with no bleed, and I've gone with the matte finish as well rather than a glossy one. And that's just personal preference. It's totally up to you which one you think will appear better in the book. Yeah, I'm not going to advise you on which one you should choose. That's down to personal choice. The next bit is the actual contents, the manuscript that you're going to upload. So again, you would just click on this yellow box here, upload paperback manuscript, and you'd upload the PDF format that your manuscript is in. Now with Vellum, that just automatically churns that out for you, and you don't have to do an awful lot, which is great. You just upload it. If you don't have formatting software, you can also upload in the Word document form, so .doc and .docx, as well as HTML and RTF format apparently. But I would, I think the PDF is a better quality and therefore is going to print better, personally. And so I would probably avoid the other ones unless you have to use those and you can't get because there's free doc to PDF converters out there, isn't there? So you should be able to get it to PDF, but if you can't, then it does accept it in those other formats. I think though, and again, this is just based on chatting to other people, if you use the doc ones, it's more likely that things will jump about between what it looks like in the document to how it might appear in the book. So as opposed to PDF where it's a bit more settled. So that's something as well to consider. But that's again a personal decision that you have to make. I'm not going to advise you on that particularly. The next part, once you've uploaded that, and again, the manuscript will go through the checks that it went through with the ebook as well, again, which is useful. The next bit is the book cover. Hopefully you've got someone to design this, someone good, so that your book cover looks as professional as possible. And you obviously click here, upload your cover file, and you'd upload the PDF, the print ready PDF. That's one of the options when you save a PDF is to put it as print ready, and that means that things like layers and such things are not an issue when it comes to printing. I don't know too much about the technicalities of all that kind of stuff, but your cover illustrator or designer should know that, and they should deliver the cover for you already in this format. And if they haven't, then you request for them to do that so you can upload it. Okay, now if you already have a barcode on the cover, which some people choose to do, you can check that box, but I didn't have a barcode, and I just left the white box there, and it just got filled in with the barcode automatically by Amazon, which was useful. You can also use the cover creator like with the ebook to make your own cover, but again, I don't know if I wouldn't do that personally, but that's obviously your call and your decision. Again, when you upload the cover, it will go through a few checks and so on, and then it will eventually say that your cover is good to go. And similar to the ebook, you've got a launch previewer, so you can click on that, and it will show you what your book will look like in the print format. Now, the difference between this and the ebook is obviously the ebook one is obviously on an ebook, and so will look very different, whereas the print one shows you there with the full cover, which is quite nice. You can see both the front and back parts of the cover. You can see the ISBN there and the barcode and everything, and then you can see the inside of the book as well and how that's going to appear as a double page opening there, and that's useful. I think again, I would always check through the whole thing and make sure that it looks good enough. Now on the side here where it says quality check, if there's any issues, as there has been in a couple of my previous uploads, it will indicate them over here. And usually it will give you some help and advice on what the issue is, how you'd fix it, and so on. So they're really helpful in that way. So just do check this little box over here at the side when you do upload it, and because you might have to make some changes based upon whatever issues they might find within the PDF, either the interior or the cover. So once you've done that, you'll see at the bottom here that it gives you a little summary of the things that you've chosen. Just check all those things are right and they all look good to you. It will then give you a cost per book for print on demand in each of your different marketplaces. So you can see what it would cost for me in the UK, my home marketplace, but also all of the other ones as well. And I think I remember when I looked at my own ones for the paperback pricing, you can see that the Aussie Amazon is a wee bit, it's quite high. And when I looked at my royalties in that one, which you'll see in the next page, that obviously reflected in that. So that's something that's worth looking at as well. And then when we come to the pricing, which we're going to in a second, you can make the adjustments based upon the print cost in each of the various marketplaces. So this is the last of the three tabs for the paperback. Again, similar to the ebook, all territories individual depending on the rights that you have for it. Again, choose a primary marketplace, and then you go into the distribution and royalties and pricing part. So if you want to include it in expanded distribution, and I would check that you have a good read about this, there's a wee link there for the requirements and so on, then that's an option. You can see it on the right hand side here of your royalties. Now I ignore that because I'm not doing that. But if it's something that interests you, once you read a bit more about it, then obviously it's on the right hand side here. I'm going to focus instead on just this Amazon column here. So this is only for Amazon paperbacks, and they only do their own print-on-demand paperbacks, and this is the royalty rate that you will get when they print the book for you based upon your list price that you put on the Amazon page. So for paperback here, I put $7.99. You can see it gives you a guidance there in terms of minimum and maximum. I can see the maximum is 250 quid. I think you do well to sell a paperback for that much, but maybe there's people out there that are able to do that. You can see the printing cost that we just had a minute ago. You can see the royalty rate that you get, and therefore the actual literal royalty that you get from the sale of a $7.99 book is £1.31. Now you can obviously change the price of your book, and you can see if I do that just now on screen, it should then alter the price of the royalties. Okay, so I've put it up to $8.99. You can see the royalties gone from $131 up to $191. And so if you're looking at a more generous royalty rate, you can alter that price. But at the moment, I'm happy with $7.99. It means it's competitive against other books, and that royalty rate is okay for me at the moment. But it's something I might change in the future. And again, the good thing is, in all the other marketplaces, Amazon automatically puts a rate in which is equivalent to the one in your home marketplace, and it looks at the cost of the printing and gives you a royalty rate based on that. And you can see it's all pretty similar across most of them, but except when we look at this last one here, I talked about the sort of higher looking price for print and distribution in the Aussie region, and you can see as a result of that, the royalty rates are tiny on that. So I might want to make a change if I see some sales in Australia, for example. I might want to make a change on the price of this to try and increase my royalty a little bit. It's not something I'm going to do immediately because I don't think I've had any sales in Australia at this stage. But if it became a market for me, then I'd maybe look to change that to get a bit more of a royalty rate on the sales that I'm making. So that's the pricing and the royalties and so on for all the different marketplaces. Now, it comes to the terms and conditions. There's a little box there for you to tick to confirm that you agree to them, and then there's a bit there where it warns you it'll take 72 hours. But again, in my experience, it's never actually taken as long as that. And I think the first one took the longest, and any subsequent changes since have taken much less time. So that's something to bear in mind, is to give yourself a good enough time frame between when you actually want it to be up and when you're doing this, just in case. Now, the thing I quite like as well is before you hit publish, there's actually an option here to hit request proof. Okay, now that's useful. It gives you a printed out copy of what your book would look like. Now, when you click on this box here, in an hour or two after you do that, you get an email from Amazon, and it says follow this link, and you click on it, and it puts a proof copy of your book into your basket, and it's a bit cheaper than, I've listed it $7.99 there. I believe it's £3 or something, $3.48, whatever the print price is. That they charge you for the proof, plus postage and packaging, and you can get that sent to your house, and it usually arrives reasonably quickly within a week or two. And you can have a look at it. It does have a thick band around it that says not for resale, so that kind of slightly detracts from it, but I guess they want to do that so that you don't print off cheaper books and then obviously resell them for $7.99 and make a wee profit there. I'm assuming that's the reason why. So you can get that proof, and it's useful to do just to check things like making sure the trim size is okay, like the cover is looking okay, that you've got the trim and bleed and all the other dimensions all as they should be. So once you've got yourself a proof and you're happy with the way everything looks, again, I would click the save draft first and leave it for a bit, and then you decide, am I happy with everything, blah, 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 before you eventually hit publish your paperback book. And when you do that, you get a little message, as we did with the ebook, that says that the book will be available within 72 hours, and people will be able to purchase it then, and you can see the message that I've got there, and it's been submitted. Okay, and then once it's submitted, you'll see it'll appear on this dashboard here as live for both the Kindle ebook and the paperback. And if you want to make any changes, you can just go into these three dots here on either one. At the moment, because I've submitted them for publication, I'm not getting the option, but you can go in and edit any aspect of all the things that we've just gone through there. Okay, so I hope that's been helpful, and that is how you upload and publish your book on Amazon KDP. I'll see you all next time on the next video, where hopefully I'll be able to share some more useful self-publishing insights, and make sure you hit subscribe so that you get those first. Take care now, folks. May the force be with you.